We are a lively looking bunch, aren't we? Look at us. Got our comfy clothes on. We're kind of limping into the new year here. Are we having a hard time? I know I am. Kind of getting ramped up, getting back into it.
100%.
Yeah, we got to get some meetings. That's going to save us.
I was great yesterday on Afterburner.
God, was he good? Yeah.
I bet.
Pinder went at me like it was 60 minutes, like we were deep diving into the secrets of society.
Yeah. We unveiled the Epstein list last night. It was a big show.
Oh, really? Jesus. Sorry to hear that. Red, I know you're loathing today. The old give a crap meter's a little it's a little low. Kind of doing nothing.
What are you
a little better than doing something. This ain't much of something, but still.
My brats got 1 week off.
Yeah, my kids are all at home. Yeah, we got sleepovers going on. There's kids. The kitchen is a complete disaster.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people here. No one really interested in cleaning up.
Right.
We're making lots of messes, but not cleaning them up.
That sounds like a party. That's what that is. When a lot of people go somewhere and they don't clean up, that's a party.
Yeah, it's really great. So I don't want to set the tone. We'll bring Noodles in here right away. I assume I haven't chatted with him, but it is Noodles Day. He'll bring the energy. He's always good for that. But I guess to start, what did we make of the match last night in St. Paul, which can be itself a little sleepy at times?
Yeah, well, we talked about it last night. That's your pickerel special for Rhett. He's catching up on sleep, which you're going to need before you get to Nashville, today.
It's a great setup for the Flames. Yeah, they had their rest, they had their pickerel, they had a win, and now they hit Nashville. Pressure's off. Let's go.
Rhett said last night, we're going to find out if they can play guilty. Just tomorrow night, we'll know. We'll be able to see it.
It's great to play rested and well rested and well fed in Minneapolis. Your goaltender's great. Can you show up after missing curfew? Can you show up after having extracurricular activities? Like, what are you made of here, fellas?
Do you think this is a team that would say, you know what? Tootsies.
I know the
legends
would be leading the charge. He can't get enough of that stuff.
Yeah, you think so?
There are
Aldean's bar.
A few thirsty fellas.
That's sarcasm right there.
Yeah, I just wonder because we've talked the kids today, they're a little different, which is not to say they don't like to go out and party, and they'll just wonder if this is as big a deal getting into Nashville as maybe it would have been, say, 10 years ago.
How many kids do you know? It's different too, because in Calgary, there's a bit of a rural feel to Alberta still. My question was going to be, how many kids do you know hammering back country music on their boombox at the rink?
It's not a lot.
Not a lot, right?
No, it's not a lot.
I wonder, there's a demographic to what Nashville is, and I don't know that they fit it. Now, obviously, it's a lot of fun, and it's live music and the bars are hopping, but I don't know. I think
I would look at this roster.
Nashville thing. Like, you guys wouldn't have been out at Cowboys if there was camera phones the way there are now. Are you kidding me? Like in 2004? Like, it's just a different world. These guys can't do what you guys did. There's no way they can. You can do a tiny bit of it, maybe.
No, you can't.
It's not about country music. It's like, well, here's my camera. There's an NHLer. Like, you can go out, but it's not at all the same universe they're living.
It's not even smart.
No.
Let's take that out of the equation. Okay, are you going to get caught? Just hey boys, we're going to go out and rip it up in Nashville. Dennis Gilbert, to me, Nashville.
Love this.
Dennis Gilbert, he's going out. He's got some shit kickers. He's got shit kickers in the carry-on. He's going. Who else were you?
Coleman.
What did you say, Pinder?
Uyghur, 100%.
Uyghur feels like Uyghur, Coleman.
Kidding me?
Uyghur. If you're going to play in Texas,
had better have a fiddle in the band, yeah.
Nazem, we saw him during Stampede. He had the year.
So can I say? I think he's going, but he's not going on the strip.
He's going off strip.
He's finding a little loungy, a little more. Different style of
little songwriter circle somewhere. Yeah. The Bluebird, maybe. Connor Zary.
I believe
following.
Connor Zari's married already. I don't know if you knew that, fellas.
Connor Zari. Is it Zari or Zari?
Sure.
You asked me last night. You got to remember, just Zari.
Zari.
Every day, just this, Dean. You gotta
He's a good kid. He's a rookie.
be boy.
Whatever we're doing, fellas, I'm along for the ride.
You mentioned the captain. I don't see him being country. I don't feel like Huberdeau is country. I'm not sure about Yegor.
Guys, I'm not country. I loved Nashville. You don't have to be country. You have to like having
No,
a drink
listen,
and
just
music.
you don't pick it apart. We're just fucking around. We're just kind of right.
Well, my point is, I think everyone's full throttle. I don't think anyone's saying.
I'll
no.
say this too. There are other options than country, right? Like you could still go out and have one hell of a time and not hear a country tune in Nashville. There are options.
That night at Aldean's, we were there in June. It was a lot of dance floor. It wasn't a lot of country, to be fair. Like it was boogie.
I think
and club
Yegor
music.
is leading the charge. He's
Not
the-
a boy, Yegor.
You know who I think is leading the charge? I can see him with two short tumblers with some dark booze in it. Pospisil.
Oh, Marty.
Oh, yeah.
I think Marty Pospisil has got just enough rat in him. You know, he's like, let's go. Camera phones be damned. Let's do this thing.
What's the bar equivalent of the tinted visor? Like, what's his accessory here? That
He's
sets
got
him
some.
apart?
He's got
Yeah,
a
Sunglasses inside. What's he
you
doing?
know, assholes only assholes wear sunglasses inside. So I'm not to say he's an asshole, but he's gonna have some dark, some
You're
Ryan
being too hard on
Waters.
yourself.
Yeah, he's gonna have some Ryan Waters going. I think that's. I still like this Pospisil. I know it. Now, did he get benched or was it because of the penalty kills there? I know Rick Ball was talking about. I
Probably
think he just
both.
kind of got out of the rotation there for a little bit.
Well, and that line has been so good for 2 months. That was not their best game. In fact, that was probably the only line that really wasn't humming last night. I loved what we saw from the fourth line. And you had the new lines with Mangiapane moving back to Coleman and Backlund and Huberdeau up top. They both had good nights. That's been a rarity. And I don't think it's time to come with the, bend you over my knee and give you a spank and you've been bad. Like it's a rare off night for that line.
I agree. It's one of those, you're watching the game and then you realize partway through, I haven't seen much of the Kadri line. It's been pretty quiet, but because the other lines have been playing pretty well, that's, I guess, hey, good coaching. Hey, how about this coach? These coaches, they know what they're doing. They're doing a hell of a job with this ragtag bunch of dummies, aren't they?
Well, absolutely. And just like everyone that's ever coached knows, if you have a good goaltender, you're a good coach.
That's right. So much smarter.
Yeah.
Your decisions are so much better.
I mean, God damn, that Huska, just what a bench he ran last night.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, you should see how smart Rick Bowness is right now, fellas. The Jets.
Yes.
Yeah. He missed.
Amazing.
Yeah. At the end, last year, the room was in turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe he said that. I can't believe. Is Bowness even going to be back right now? Well,
genius.
For Tocchet, maybe Jack Adams. Time for the Insider Hotline. A presentation of TELUS. Enter win one of 6 monthly prizes, including tickets to Calgary hockey games and awesome tech like AirPods, Apple Watches, and more. No purchase necessary. All you need to do is fill out a quick survey to enter. For your chance to win, go online and enter in TELUS.com/Flames contest. TELUS.com/Flames contest. And you could be a winner with TELUS. We go to the Insider Hotline for TELUS, and there he is, Jamie McLennan. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas and all of that sort of thing. How are we doing?
Good. I just set my alarm to wake up to chat with you guys.
Really?
I'm in Vancouver and, enjoyed myself maybe a little bit too much last night after the game, but
Roxy flew. He's playing
Roxy. I didn't go the Roxy. I mean, I'm 52 years old. What am I going to do there? Get kicked out. It would be not good, but it was a good time. But it was, exactly. Kicked out again, carried out of there, but it's more like carried out of there again. I've been fireman carried out of that place before in my lifetime, but no, it was good. It wasn't good for the Ottawa Senators last night. I will tell you that. That was when I joke when we do color. If the game is ugly, we instead of breaking the game down, you just turn into a podcast mode. You just start talking about anything, life in general, big picture stuff. It was 5 Cobb 17 minutes into the game. And I just went on the talk back to our producer, Sam. I go, cue the podcast. And we were, you're talking away. Now, Ottawa made it. They came out at least hard in the second, made it to 5-3. And I don't know if you saw the 6th goal against Korpisalo, who had replaced Forsberg, but they make it 5-3. They've got about 2.5 minutes left. They're going to pull the goalie. And Pius Suter comes in and just flicks it towards the net. And it was one of those Vesa Toskala goals that had bounced in front of him and went like glove. And my heart hurt for the goaltender. I was like, God, that was just a dagger at that point. But Ottawa was out to lunch early. Vancouver was amazing, and they deserved the win. And because I think Vancouver was pissed they lost to Philly on December 28th, so they had been waiting. But before that, I had watched the gritty gutty Flames pull out a nice win. And I heard you guys talking before you brought me on. You're 100% right. The league, and I've said this before, the league should just be called goalie. You got a good one, and everybody's a genius. And if you don't have good goaltending, which Anton Forsberg allows 4 goals on 13 shots, you get the gate, everybody's an idiot. And everybody shines a light on it. So, Markstrom's given the Flames that type of goaltending. Yes, Huska has been good, though. And we do see life in Jonathan Huberdeau a little bit, which is, interesting for me.
Yeah, we're not sure whether this is like, should we really be giving a guy flowers when he's had an 18-game goalless drought and had no points in December until New Year's Eve?
Christoph Olawa also scored at one point.
Right? Or is it like, hey, he's turned it around? Because we've kind of had a few of these games this year where it's like, hey, he's turned it around, and then
Noodles,
it's like another 18 games.
It's a tough room. It's a tough room for Huberdeau. We're going to need a little bit more.
It's when you make $10.5 million, like you're expected to do this. Like we've talked about it, week after week. Like we talk about Huberdeau every week. You're expected to be good yourself and make everybody around you good when you're a $10.5 million player. But for me, I would much rather be talking, at least he scored, at least he's got an assist here. Like he's visible, because I don't know how many times he's been invisible where you're like, okay, didn't see him tonight. Didn't, the coach is trying to find a spot for him, moving him around, all of that. You're right. What is it? Glass half empty, half full, but at least the team is winning, and I think they feel pretty comfortable right now.
Pinder made a good point last night on Afterburner about the fact that every team in the league, like Minnesota, stood out because they buried those two or bought those 2 contracts out. It was $15 million amongst the 2 of them,
14.7 this year.
And then last night they had a bunch of injuries. They had half their salary cap out
of the lineup.
Yes,
they had less than 42 million on the roster out of the 83.5 you get. It was like less than half their cap was just rotting or buyouts or dead.
So every team deals with money that isn't well spent. And if Huberdeau can put up a few points, at least you're getting something out of it. So it is better to see him score. It is better to have an assist. It is better it actually looked like he was smiling and loose again a little bit last night after scoring, which I think is a positive sign. And if you're going to get a little bit out of him, at least it's something, because dead money is.
Well, let me ask you this, and I should know this, but Pinder, you'd probably know it because you know the numbers and stuff. But has he had a stretch where it's like this guy's had 12 points in 13 games type of, like, has there been
not that long?
Stretch?
No.
Yeah, there hasn't been a stretch.
I thought he had 7 points in 5 games to start the season last year or something like that. Like he came out of the gates decent.
But that, like, McJesus does it. McJesus is going to win the Art Ross. Like you just expect certain guys to just go, okay, yeah, they were tough start or here, and then now they got it, okay. But when I think of Huberdeau, I don't know if I can think of a time where it's like, you flick on the Calgary Flames page and it's like Huberdeau on fire, 12 points in his last 7 games. Calgary, won 5 in a row, led by Jonathan Huberdeau. Like that's never been the case, correct?
No.
Not even.
There's not even been a signature Huberdeau game in my mind where it's like, wow, he went off like he single-handed. Like we're talking about probably 120 games now as a Flame.
Right. That's where the glass half empty, is you're going, okay, yeah, like we want the points, we want that, but we haven't seen like the statement game. We haven't seen where it's like, hey, they needed a big play for a game tying goal. Do you remember that play? You remember that, like
you've never even clamored to have him on the ice in those situations.
No, even in the shootout, people are getting mad when he's out there. And he was 4 for 7 last year, I think.
And he's earned it. It's hard. You want him to do better and you want to, but it's like Pinder said, he's 120 games in. The situations have been available to him to make a statement and to put up a point when it's important. He's not done it. And so I think it's a long way from where you're going to rely on him to be a point producer. You hope not to change the lines.
You just mentioned, like, the fans get frustrated, guaranteed every time he's out there or they lose. He trends on Twitter because people are like, oh my God, here's dead money, dead weight, you name it. Is there anything that he can do? Because it's like the fan base has made their decision. What can he do, if anything at all, where he puts himself on the right side of, he's won the fan base back over?
That's going to be a long, hard road. But I still believe we said it about, oh my God, the defenseman.
Which team?
The baggage handler.
Dougie Hamilton.
Dougie Hamilton, when he came here, he was playing 14 minutes. Right?
Well, brother was there all the time carrying his bags. That's an inside joke.
Freddie was the baggage handler.
Freddie was, the brother was here.
Freddie was always there, driving him around.
Yeah.
Didn't even play 1 year. He was just there, just dormant.
Yeah. But my point being, anyway, I'm kind of beating around the bush here. He needs to play every other shift. If the coach isn't in a position to do it because they're too close and they're playing too well, but really the way you're going to get Huberdeau out of it, and you've seen guys, Noodles, play him every other shift. You don't have time to sit and think about anything. Go.
Yeah,
go. That's
that
the only way. And he needs 2 weeks of that. Not one
game. Does that have its limit, though, Retro? Because at what point do you risk pissing other guys off on the bench? Huberdeau has to respond to it, at least in a certain way, right? If you're going to give him 22 minutes a night, then he's at least got to give you something, because that's coming at the expense of somebody else who probably will deserve it more. At some point, the players are going to turn and be like, I know what you're doing, but Christ,
at some point, but too bad. It's the NHL and I'm the coach and I get to decide.
Yeah, and I think it's important also that, like, we were talking about, a 22-year-old Dougie Hamilton, 21?
Yes.
We're talking about a guy that's, 30 here?
But Noodles is asking how you get him out of it. That's the way. That's the only way. And if he doesn't respond, you put him in the fucking rafters.
Yeah. And to your point, like, there probably isn't a way that you get the guy back that you thought you were getting. But, if there is a way, that's probably one of the only cards they haven't really played.
And I think I'll just give my final thought on it. I don't think he's ever going to be the guy that is bringing you out of your seat with wow type plays. I just think he'll be a guy that, like you say, you look at, oh geez, he's got 6 points his last 5 games. Well, that's been better. I don't think he's ever going to be electrifying fans or being the talk of the league. His production may just improve to a point where you're like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as it was, but he's not, people aren't rushing to get Huberdeau jerseys on their back.
Right. It's fair. He's not, in watching him now, like he's not a guy that either wows you with his speed, wows you with these, ridiculous high skill plays. If anything, sometimes, less is more. And he's a guy, when I see him, I use the phrase like empty calorie plays. You trying something, I want to make it look good, but it doesn't flash. All it does is piss people off. You're like, why the hell did you try that 25-foot pass through 4 sets of people that gets picked off and they go the other way, and now you're trapped and you give up a chance? Like, I get guys trying to be creative, but you also have to understand where you are in your career, where you are as a player, and what you can get away with. And it's just interesting now. I've been on, feels like I've been on the road for weeks because I've been with Ottawa for quite a stretch, and I'm seeing every night different players. Like, God, I forgot how good Pedersen is. I forgot, Nathan McKinnon could be a Hart Trophy winner today, but we just kind of, they've won a cup a couple years ago. They're that good. Watching these guys command, to your point, Boomer, command a game. You're like, God, like, you're right. I don't know if Huberdeau will ever command a game, but he should be a damn good player to help somebody else command a game. That's the thing. And like a JT Miller, JT Miller is a really good supportive player to top tier guys. And I just don't see Huberdeau doing that right now, but I don't know. Maybe I've got a soft spot for him. I want to give him a little bit more here if he can go on a bit of a
I don't have a soft spot for him. I got a soft spot for the organization, and the organization is it's gonna hurt him in the long run if he can't put up 50, 60 points a year. Like
he had the biggest drop in NHL history last year, fellas. He went from 115 to 55. He's on pace for less than 40 this year.
I would take 55. I would really.
Oh God, you take it to right now. Like
he
it's
would
well
sign
off last year's pace.
55 points. If they said right now, end of the season, Jonathan Huberdeau has 55 points. You would sign that deal right now.
Yeah, because he'd be more than a half point per game. He's nowhere near that now. Or I mean, I guess he's right around that.
But you remember, if you're going to be okay with it, then you can't bitch about it.
Right? I don't bitch about him. I don't bitch about him because I've thrown in the towel on him.
Yeah, I'm
because I looked just a couple minutes ago. He had 15 goals and 55 points. That feels far and away better than what we watched on a given night, right? 15.
He's on pace for less than 40.
So
it's worse
because we don't want to beat up on him.
No, you're right. You're not here to kick him in the junk. And Red, I'm like you. I've got a soft spot for the organization and people in it. I love Connie's first year on the job. Like, everything involved. But I came back to it, and I even thought about it this morning. Like, what is Connie going to do? Like, if they keep kind of chipping away in that and say they're in that playoffs spot, what's he doing still with Lindholm, with Hanifin, with,
Hanif.
If you want my list, if you want my list, Tanev has to go just because of his age and his risk of injury. Like, we lost Zadorov, and I said last night, he was a good enough player, but I haven't noticed that he's not out there. And I think if Tanev, even if first of all, I don't think they're making playoffs. Pinder, can you pull up the odds on that? Like, there's got to be Vegas odds somewhere they
have to play like at a 650 clip for a team that's 500. The rest of the way.
They're 500, and they got so many teams in between them and a playoff spot. It's quite a road to try to get
the team
down.
Up the road doesn't seem like they're losing.
The other thing too, guys, like, we talk about, geez, like they're in this mucky middle. There's 6 teams worse than the Flames. That's it. There's only 6 teams that aren't 500. Yeah. Like, you could be picking 7th tomorrow if it's the draft. Let's keep in context where we're at here.
Okay.
So I think you make all those moves regardless of how close you're to the playoffs. But the only one that's interesting, and again, I'm going back to what Pinder and I talked about last night. I think we've discussed it, but I think it's important because it's what we led with. The goalie. He's on fire right now. There's teams out there that would absolutely die to get him. No, or am I crazy? Especially if you need a couple $1 million on the contract. But it's just what you said. Do you want Corpusalo and the other guy in Ottawa, or like you're going to put yourself in that position? Buffalo is exactly what you would have. You'd have that situation if you trade Markstrom and you're the Flames. You're going to have a young kid the Wolves probably further ahead than Levi, but there's no backbone to that, the goaltending tandem. So do you risk getting rid of a guy and putting in a guy that's not ready, or do you just ride it out? Let that number one goaltender play, bring the other kid in, let him have somebody to learn from. But sure, the returns would be good, but is it smart to move them?
I think well, right now, you could get a king's ransom for Jacob Markstrom from a couple different organizations if you can make the money work. Right. Like if you bid $2 million and made him a $4 million goalie, and that organization would have him for 3 playoff runs technically this year and 2 more, man, you could get a king's ransom for him, because there are teams, Edmonton, I think, needs somebody to play with Skinner. I don't think they'd be chasing him, but like Tree in Toronto, New Jersey, Carolina, like some of these teams need a top tier stability goaltender. Like Colorado, Georgiev, I don't know if they trust him. The guy behind him is barely, a 2. So I think there's organizations that would pay a king's ransom if you can make it work. The only guy out of that whole list that is interesting for me is Hanifin, because Hanifin is what, 26?
He's
like,
the youngest
even
in
if
the
you're
group,
in a rebuild, like he'd still he can skate like the wind. So like maybe he's a guy that you keep and everybody else you can move on from, because Hanifin, you do need players and you still need pieces to kind of build around with younger guys. And he's not Tanev. He's not 33, you know, like, and he can play top minutes in all different situations. We'll see what the price would be if they did something like that. But he's a guy that would be interesting for me because he's in that tweener. Everybody else, I think you can make the decision on a hard decision and go, yeah, we got to get what we can for these players.
With what's going on in Vancouver and Philly specifically for me, and the way they've turned it around like that, no one was picking those teams to be where they are, right? Like they're still supposed to be bottom of the barrel. Does that change? Because like you say, rebuild. They're not allowed to use that word around here. No. Okay, whatever. But if you could flip it over, like you watch those teams and they turn some stuff over and all of a sudden they're right back in it.
Yeah. I mean, Vancouver is the outlier for me because I call it the spine of the team. The spine of the team is always, it's been there. Now they've arrived as like legit superstars and healthy. Like I'm watching Demko for fun just make saves last night. Quinn Hughes is dancing, walking the line. You know, I talked about Pedersen. Like they got 3 lines deep. That third line for Vancouver, that Dakota Joshua, like they've got big bodies, got some bite to them. Like that team, like looks like a serious team. And then I spent a little time with Rick Tocchet, and you know, Talk's a guy who pushes them, and I think he pushes them with honesty. So I look at that. You're right. Like I would come back to Calgary, okay, and say, what's the spine look like, and what do they look like when they're at the top of their game? And if you move players out, are you bringing in younger players right away, or are those draft picks? Philly, that's coach. Like that's Tortorella demanding a standard and saying, now keep in mind, last year, Kevin Hayes was the leading scorer. He's like, you're sitting in the stands because I don't like what I'm seeing out of you. You know, like there's certain things where I think Torts was able to assess and then go, I'm getting rid of the guys that aren't going to be able to play Torts' hockey. And then I'm going to have the young guys and I'm going to push them. You know, Philly is a team that would be more, you're looking at Calgary's model. That's what Philly would look like. Like Calgary looked like Philly more than Vancouver based on the talent level. I point out Vancouver's got superstar level at every position. Where do they have superstar level in Calgary at every position?
No, they don't have a Quinn Hughes. They don't have an Elias Pettersson. They don't have a Besser. They don't have a JT Miller. They do have a goalie, but like they don't have star skaters. The Canucks have always had them. They just were so bad surrounding them with talent and wasting money against the cap. And then Demko gets hurt and they look awful last year.
Well, this goes into the age-old question of how do you don't win without those star players. Markstrom's been a star. So I'll because he was terrible last year, and this year he's great. Yeah. He's been huge for them. How do you get those star players? You have to move guys or get draft picks or finish at the bottom, right? Like you don't get stars just cause.
Well, so who would be right now? Who's the Flames' number one defenseman?
Anderson.
So it's Rasmus Anderson.
They kind of have 3 2s in my mind, where you could say Hanifin's a 2, you could say Uyghur's a 2, you could say Anderson's a 2. Like, but none of them are like ace number 1, run a power play, put up a point a game D-men. Not that those are easy to get, but none of them are Quinn Hughes, right?
But you look around the league, and top tier teams have somebody that like is either your number 1, they're paying like a 1, or is somebody who you believe can be a 1. Like Toronto, I think has this problem. Like Morgan Riley's a really good player, but he's not a superstar, right? And then it really drops off. TJ Brody, you guys know Brody's awesome guy, but he's just a complimentary guy, just not a point producer. I look at these teams that want to be serious, and you have to have, in my mind, a rock star back there or somebody who can command that ice time. I think Ottawa. Jake Sanderson has a chance. Like Jake Sanderson for me is going to be a superstar. and he's learning on the job right now. He's 21. But I look at teams. So, I'm looking at it. So that's why I said, I think Hanifin is a guy that, if Calgary was going to do something, you maybe keep him. But who is the guy? Who's the next guy? Like you said, what do? You got to draft and develop these guys, because there's no number one defenseman, just a team going, we got to get rid of this guy. Like, where do you get number one defenseman? Like, who's available?
Well, same with number one centers, and they don't have one here. Like, they haven't had one in ages. Like, we're learning Elias Lindholm's a really nice number two, that if he's not given stars on the wings, he's not number one center.
Right.
Same thing. It's the draft. That's why we're all clamoring for a reset. And it's like, yeah, of course you could keep Markstrom, but God, you'd help two things if you moved him. You'd get a pile of assets, and there's no way you don't finish lower in the standings if you moved them. But I just, like you've said it a million times, Noodles, like, can Connie sell that to the owner right now? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're not privy to the behind the curtain conversations of what the mandate is from ownership, right down. So, if the mandate is, hey, I'd like to try and get playoff dates because that makes the machine make us some money, all of that type of stuff, then that changes your outlook. But you don't, we all know some teams just don't have autonomy. The manager doesn't have autonomy. You've got to manage up and manage down. I don't know what the dynamic is in Calgary, but I would imagine, we all know Murray Edwards is a passionate owner. So I'm sure he's got some mandates that we're not aware of. So, we can talk until we're blue in the face about things they probably should do, maybe even stuff that Connie wants to do, but he also has to be realistic as to, hey, you know what? I still have to answer to people that sign my check. A little different in different teams that are either owned by a corporation or just have maybe a different outlook. Edmonton up the road, prime example. Daryl Cates is a guy that, seems to be very volatile. We'll call it that. Like, he just, make decisions, bring in guys go out, pay to do this, pay to do that. Whereas in Toronto, for example, MLSE, you got to answer to a board. So Brendan Shanahan has to take stuff to a board, not just a single owner. And, they've bought themselves out of so many situations to the point where we have that joke, Robidas Island. Like, all of a sudden a guy just disappears. And, John Klingberg, Robidas Island, Matt Murray, Robidas Island. Like, the list is, the island's full, but they just, they're able to do it because they can buy themselves out of it. I don't know if Calgary has that situation.
You're muted there, Dino.
Hey,
Dean.
He's muted.
Dean, you're pulling a ret. You muted yourself.
Sorry, I had some phlegm
Your
going.
kid's screaming.
Rick Tocchet, you mentioned you had a chat with him there. I wonder if there's some teams thinking, shit, this guy was on the sidelines for a while. We could have used the guy that commands respect and is now getting the most out of his players. What was it like catching up with Tocchet?
Just exactly what you'd think. Like, he's an amazing person. So I've, got to know him a little bit in the media and stuff. And obviously, you cross paths with guys, you have good chats. We have a lot of friends in common type of thing. So you sit with a coach and you get their outlook. And it's funny, like, as you go down after the game to have a chat, can't remember who I was with, but they were like, Talk won't be happy about, them giving up 3 goals. And then, and I'm like, hey, you won, and you'd won the game in the first 17 minutes. And he was like, you know what? I still want more out of this. You can't lose a draw in here. You got to, and that's coaches. They're always coaching. They're always on. But it was awesome because you're right. Like, I say this all the time, and I know the league is different, but look at the teams that kind of have a coach that is hardened, but shows respect, but brings honesty. I think of Bruce Cassidy. I think of Peter DeBoer. Peter Laviolette was available. And Chris Drury goes, that guy's going to help change my team, or at least stiffen them up a little bit. And I still believe in, Daryl last year didn't have a great year. 2 years ago, he was coach of the year. So he didn't forget how to coach overnight, but things, your expiration date, all of that type of stuff. I think we've talked about it. I didn't think Daryl had a good season last year. I think some of the decisions, some of the things he did, unfortunately led to his demise. But I still believe in coaches that are stiffer, that have, believe in accountability. I don't like it sometimes where you feel like the inmates are running the asylum. And that's, we see that in a lot of different teams. But I look at Tocchet's team, and the one thing in watching them live, and I got them out in Ottawa as well, is when you see them, their players compete on pucks. So I think there's some non-negotiable things for Tocchet where it's like, I don't care if you're a super skilled guy or a guy that's expected to be more physical. They play a certain style in a certain way. And I think that comes right from him going, you want to play for me? This is how you have to play. I'm going to give you the freedom to do things. But I watch Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes competes on pucks. He's not big. He's not going to run anybody over. But I think Tocchet has a way where it's like you still can win that loose puck battle. You got to stick your nose in there. And it's kind of non-negotiable. That's the one thing I've noticed about that team and kind of his mantra. And I think quietly they've kind of put together an unbelievable staff. Like Adam Foote's there. That guy's an unbelievable, not only unbelievable person, but he was a hell of a player with so much experience. Sergei Gonchar is there. Like they've got some guys where it's like, if you're a player and actually believe, I don't know how you guys feel, but like there's some players I don't know if they would know who Sergei Gonchar is. And there's other players that'd be like, God, that guy was an unbelievable player. It just depends on, some of these 19, 20-year-olds, they're not historians. They wouldn't know, if they were unbelievable players or not. But having those guys around, you could see it's kind of like seeped into that team. And I'm sure if you ask Quinn Hughes in a candid moment, have you learned stuff about positioning and what to do and how to handle certain situations? Adam Foote's not talking to Quinn Hughes about curl and dragging on the blue line, but I guarantee you talking about body position and being cagey in certain situations. Same thing with Gonchar. So they've done a hell of a job there, the staff, I think. And Tocchet's a guy amazing to chat with and just get some insight from him.
Wasn't it last year, Rhett, you were talking, sorry, Ryan, you were talking to your kids about Rob Blake, and it was just blank screen. No one had any friggin' idea who Rob Blake was.
Who are Rob Blake?
The boys were downstairs getting a donut or something, and Blakey was down there, and I went down. I randomly was walking. Oh, hey, and I talked to him, so then we had practice right after that, and I said to the kid, I said, who was that guy? Do you guys know who I was talking to? And they're like, just blanks. No, I don't know. Which I didn't really, but I didn't expect them to recognize. Maybe, right? Like I'm like, well, maybe they won't recognize him. But when I say his name, well, I said it's Rob Blake.
Yeah. Well, at least they know their name. See, that's what kind of, hurts my heart, where it's like you see guys like my son's 6, so he doesn't understand anything. We've been on a cruise with Jerome McGinley. He has no idea Jerome McGinley was one of the greatest players of all time. He's like, yeah, that's Tija's dad. I'm like, yeah, Tija's dad is yelling at Noodles and making fun of him. I'm like, yeah, that's what he does. But, he doesn't understand. He's too young. But I'm around some of these young players, and I just, you see somebody who played a long time, Eddie Olczyk walks in, and, you're like, Eddie had a great career, great person in that. And you just wonder, does a 21-year-old Tim Stutzler who grew up in Germany and that, unless he's a historian, probably wouldn't know Eddie Olczyk's body of work or how great of a player he was. It's stuff like that. That's what kind of like hurts my heart. It shows me that I'm getting old. And then secondly, some of these guys are just like, hey, I was a highly skilled kid. My idol was Austin Matthews, or whoever.
I go back to, like, I always considered myself not a historian, but a respectful of the veteran guys.
Yes.
But when we were in Calgary, Mike Rogers, I had no idea. Somebody said, oh, it's Mike Rogers, played for the Rangers. And I'm like, oh, right on. Right? You always feel like you're
fourth liner, maybe. Yeah.
I had no effing idea at 100 points. And like
score.
50 goals.
Yeah.
Well, part of the problem there is he spent a lot of time in the WHA, and that's kind of like all that history has been erased. The NHL wants nothing to do with it. It's too bad.
Yeah, but you're right. You know what? He was around, and I think we all always treated him with respect. But until you dug in and go, man, that guy was a really good player. I joke I remember Chris Pronger telling me this story when he was in Philadelphia. Joey Mullen was running the power play, and they had a bunch of young kids there. It was Carter and his Richards and his Giroux, and Joey's like kind of like laying stuff out, and Prong said you could see these young kids kind of like, nah, I know what I'm doing here, old timer. Like, and Prong told me he had to pull them aside and go, that guy scored 600 goals in the NHL. And they were like perplexed. Like, no. And they're like, and Prongs had to tell him, like, that guy was that good of a player. You should listen to what he has to say. But it just speaks to like that generation gap, and then how you grew up. Like what hockey environment you grew up where, you wouldn't know, like exactly the Mike Rogers, we roll in, we're Flames players. We think we're, heroes because we're hanging out at 628 Madison after Cowboys and enjoying ourselves. And Mike Rogers been there, done that. And, I look back on that, and I would hope that he would think that we've treated with respect, but now you make me think like maybe there was a night where I'm looking at him like, why the hell is this guy talking about me? And I was pigeon back goaltender. So, I don't know.
And another guy who was in that vein that was around the rink a lot back then, and it would be younger media people be like, so Charlie Simmer, did he play?
Yes.
Yeah, he played. Have you heard of the Triple Crown line? Like, he played.
And I will say this. I like Charlie was so engaging. Like I wanted to hear what he had to say. Like Charlie was like, he wanted to be one of the boys. Like he was right in there. Like he was different. Mike Rogers kind of came around, and I think he was respectful, but just kind of did his thing. Whereas like Charlie was like right in the scrum with us. Like I enjoyed it. And of course I knew who he was. So I loved telling stories with him, and he would have a coffee and just BSing with him. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Really quick. Sorry.
Go ahead, Ryan. No,
you mentioned all these guys in Vancouver, and I think it's gone from an organization that looked like one that was completely upside down with shitty culture to one that looks really well organized all of a sudden. And the owner hasn't changed, and I think the owner's a big issue. But quietly, is this the Sedins putting stuff in place? Because like Jim Benning ran a shit show there. Like there was a lot of dumb decisions.
Yeah, I think Patrick Alvin deserves a lot of kind of.
Wouldn't the Sedins have pushed for him though? Like if we're tracing that back, Swedish guy.
There's a couple different things that come to mind, because you're right. It was a noisy organization. They had the Rachel Dory. You had some stuff that it was bad PR, what was going on, and you're like, oh. But I look at it and I think Rutherford has added stability. But then what he did was he had some great hires. He had Alvin, he had Emily Castanier, he had, and then the Sedins come back, and you just provide layers of like really good people. Cami Granado's there. They've got some really good hockey people, hockey minds. And then I talked about the coaching staff. So what they've continued to do is just add layers of good people. And I'll bring it back to, recently Dave Poulin just left TSN and joined Ottawa. Pooley, I don't know if you know him. He's an unbelievable human. Talk about a guy, if you didn't dig into the history, this guy won the Selke. He was a captain at 23. He's been in all situations, been to the Stanley Cup final a bunch of times. And all Ottawa's doing is adding some layers of good people and adding resources. You bring Alfie back. Steve Staios is now the manager there. They're providing some stability. And Michael Andlauer spoke at his presser the other day, and he said, I bought this organization 100 days ago. So he said, I've done my 100-day evaluation. And he goes, we want stability there. I had a chat with Steve Staios yesterday. I don't think they're done. I think they're in stage 3 of 10 stages, because they're looking at every facet of that organization and either turning it over or adding, like beefing it up. So coming back to Vancouver, I think that's what they've done. Rutherford came in and identified, we need some stability. We need to do some things. I'm going to do a mass hire. I'm going to hire some good people, bring in layers, and then beef up the areas where they felt they needed help. So all of a sudden you blink, and yes, you got health of the star players, but you also have some stability there within the organization of like a lot of good people that probably have their hand up in these meetings by committee going, We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to bring in this situation. And you're right. I think the Sedin effect is massive there because those guys are smart hockey guys and they're classy. And that's, I keep coming back to it. There's a lot of great hockey people or great people in this game. And there's certain people I believe that should be in these situations to help the trickle down of an organization.
Sorry, Noodles. I'm just great stuff today as always. I'm just so parched. I just need to
Oh, look at that.
What?
The Cove. The best, isn't it?
Is that what you were drinking
No, I'm drinking Fresca right now because I'm in a hotel that I had to. It's the last thing as I walked through the hotel gift shop at 3:30 in the morning. I grabbed like a couple pop and a power bar just to wake up. Cove is everywhere. I love the Cove.
I don't know anything about it, but we talked about it with you, and then all of a sudden some Cove soda showed up.
Like 6 flats.
They showed up at the studio.
Way.
So
they saw the show, buddy.
It is the best. I'm telling you. I love them. They're so good. And apparently, if you do your pop research, which you shouldn't but it's like a little bit better for you than the regular pop. Put it that way. If you're going to be a
1 billion CFU probiotics. I don't know what that means, but a billion's a lot.
That's a
1
lot.
billion.
Yeah.
My point is drink Cove if you want to drink pop because they love it. And I would be drinking a Cove right now, either an orange, lime, or a grape if I was at home. And my son, who I don't want him to drink a bunch of pop, would be begging me for a sip because he loves it that much.
Ooh, this is some shameless plugs.
It's,
here. Guys just fishing for free sodas.
So
I
really quick,
I buy that thing from Costco once a week. I don't need free stuff, but I'm just telling you the goods. It's the goods.
Are you here next week, Noodles? Because Ottawa's here on the 9th. It's a 1-game homestand for the Flames. You'll be here. That's a Tuesday.
I am. I'm going from Vancouver to Seattle today. Call the game tomorrow. And then our property doesn't have the Ottawa Edmonton game. That's a Sportsnet property. But I am going to go to Edmonton just to see family and catch up with Big Strudwick and a few buddies. And then I'm going to fly down to Calgary, I think on the Sunday or Monday morning, and call the game Tuesday. Yes. So I'm in Calgary, I think Sunday or Monday, Tuesday type of thing. But I have to fly back Wednesday morning. So if you guys want to, we want to
Tuesday next week. Huh?
If you want to do Tuesday, let's do Tuesday. We can do it.
Might get Boom out of his house even.
It's hard to say. I got all this Cove soda here. It might just keep me at home.
Yeah,
hard to say.
Nice cold Cove soda. You got to stay at home. Protect it with your life.
Yeah. Before we let you go, we were at the very start. We were talking because the Flames are in Nashville. They play the Predators tomorrow night. It's playing guilty in that. Do you think? Again, we're old farts talking about this. Do you think kids today would be excited to get to Nashville, to go out on Broadway and go to the bars, or is it kind of not like it used to be?
I think there is a layer of guys that'll go, I'm going to go take a peek. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be 2:00 in the morning, but you can go for dinner and you can go listen to live music and have, nightcap, have a beer and just see what Nashville's all about. And, the best thing is if you were on a road trip and you're staying over, you dangle the carrot. You go, guys, like, let's go have a great effort here and we'll meet at Tootsie's afterwards and have a drink as a group and whatever. And if your group is tight and you enjoy that, I think there are guys who do that, but they hide in plain sight. Because I've gone out a few times and seen players at a bar, but it's like, it's not camera phones and stuff like that, because in Nashville, nobody cares. And they're not, household faces, if you only stand out if you're a mutant or you're, a small guy or something, if you don't just kind of blend in and these guys aren't wearing a suit to the bar like we used to try and draw some attention. It's like, oh yeah, what do you do for a living? Oh, I just came from the game, all of that. Like, you don't do that anymore. These guys will go and they're wearing tracksuits or whatever you wear to the bar and a hat. And they all look like college kids anyways nowadays. So I would hope that they get to, at least if you love live music, go. Because I wasn't taken up. The one thing that TSN's good with me is they have not taken me off of the Nashville trip every time Ottawa goes there. We're going there in February, and even though my voice struggles usually the day of the game, I enjoy myself. I sit with a bucket of beer, and I will sit at Legends for 8, 10, 12 hours, whatever's needed, whatever type of shift is needed, I will be there.
Yeah. What determines when you say what's needed, how do you know when you've accomplished and you've hit the target?
Sixth sense, Dean.
You just know.
Well,
You've been there.
Yeah, my longest shift, which was one early, I wouldn't say early in my career because I was 30, I think. I was playing for the Minnesota Wild and went down to Nashville, and we practiced. And walking back from the rink, I just popped in at Legends, and it was about 11:30 in the morning. And then at 2:00 in the morning, after I'd had 3 meals there, they said, "You got to go." And I said, "Okay, I'm leaving. I'm leaving now." And the meals weren't great because there was nachos in a microwave, and there was, all sorts of things we were bringing in. This was before Uber Eats, so we weren't bringing Uber Eats in or anything. But that was the longest shift in Nashville for me, was 11:30 in the morning till about 2:30 a.m. And then finally our lady's like, and there were guys coming and going because I'd put in the longest shift. I felt like, because I love live music, but there were guys that, popped in for a beer and then went and had dinner and then came back, went and had lunch, went and watched a movie. And for some reason, I just enjoyed the set list. It was really fun.
Is that in your contract with TSN that all Nashville road trips, the 3-meal plan, do you expense all 3 meals at Legends?
You know what? My bosses are great. It's kind of a handshake deal. It's like, just give me Nashville. I promise I'll be on my best behavior. And even my wife goes, just go have a good time. Like, I'll FaceTime her. I'm like, look at this band. They're singing Chicken Fried for the 7th time. And, it's stuff like that. I enjoy it. It's so much fun. I love live music. As you guys know, if I never could have played hockey, I would have loved to have been a rock star. That would have been, and every rock star wants to be a hockey player.
You're a rock star, buddy. You're a rock star.
Absolutely. In my mind.
Yeah. Take care of yourself, buddy. Look, hopefully see you in a week or so. That'd be great.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week, guys. Have a good one.
Right on. Thanks, Noodles. There he is, Jamie McLennan, joining us on the Insider Hotline, a presentation of TELUS. They are using world-leading technology to drive meaningful change, from transforming healthcare and making the food supply more sustainable to reducing our environmental footprint, connecting Canadians in need. In 2022 alone, now it's 2024, but 1.4 million hours among team members and retirees, and then $125 million to local charities and communities. The most giving company in the world. It's TELUS. Learn more at TELUS.com/givesback. Noodles.
Jim.
There's only one good guy. That would be, and he's not lying. That would be the 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. shift. It can be done. It can be done.
He's more than capable.
Just that one. We're going to just go see one set at 11 a.m. Just one.
Yeah. You do have the one thing that some guys would struggle with, though, is the pacing, because there needs to be some pacing, because there might be a time where you want to put the foot down on the pedal a little bit. Makes it harder to get to 2 a.m.
It's the shots will get you there. They're like 3
He's
ounces.
a professional, Dean. He knows what he's doing. He's
ease your way through. Have you ever had nachos out of the microwave?
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds delicious.
Layers of good people in the organization, Rhett, hey? Only you just kept your nose a little cleaner. All kinds of jobs.
That's right.
You and Noodles. Layers.
Coming up, today is already Wednesday. You know what? We'll start it next week. Another gift package, another prize pack from our buddies over at the Hearing Loss Clinic. Last week, or I guess right before Christmas, we had the Stampeder package, little Reggie Begelton autographed jersey and football. That has been awarded online. And coming up next week, we have got a Flames prize pack that we'll be giving away. Autographed stuff, it's what we do. We'll have that for you courtesy of the Hearing Loss Clinic. And they have a new location. My sources are telling me February. It was going to be January, now going to be February, but yet another great location, making things even more convenient for you to go and get that hearing loss checked. Visiting with people over the holidays. Of course, I've been talking about it. I've gone to the clinic. I'm a customer. I'm using the stuff, and it's making a big difference for me. So tell me about the people are coming around. People are coming around. It's going to be, and I said it in that one thing. People are wearing stuff in their ears. They got headphones on all the time. No one looks twice at you anymore.
Nope.
That's it's going to be the new way. It's going to be the new eyeglasses. It's going to be even cooler than it already is. Hearingloss.ca is the website to go and check things out, to book your assessment, and then be looking next week for another chance for you to win right here on Barn Burner. Now we didn't talk a ton about the game because we got in there and we got talking to Noodles and all of that, and then got on to Huberdeau. I don't know. It's a good point he brings up. What's it going to be? Where's the bar where people are going to be satisfied? And I don't think that it's going to be satisfied. It's just where your reduced level of expectation and being somewhat content and what he can produce is going to meet. And honestly, when I look 55 points and 15 goals, I feel like that's where I'd be okay with that. But that's what he got last year, and we were not okay with that. So I don't know. Maybe it's just never going to be.
It's just a sunk cost now, Dean. It's 10.5 a year for the next 7 years, and it is what it is. We talked about it last night. A lot of teams have about $10 million they haven't spent well. It's just not usually all on one guy. Like Edmonton alone, I looked at it. They're going to spend almost $4 million for Jack Campbell to probably be in the minors. They're spending almost $2 million on James Neal to not play hockey. And they got a Connor Brown bonus overage that's going to hit them for $3.25.
Yeah.
Like that's almost $10 million right there. Would they like that $10 million to spend elsewhere? Yeah. With the Flames? Yeah. But all these teams have to deal with it. And if Minnesota can put up 113 points and 103 while spending almost $15 million a year for guys not to work, you could survive it. You just have to be really efficient and smart elsewhere.
Yeah. It doesn't allow you many banana peels elsewhere, right?
That's right.
It doesn't allow you many banana peels. The big issue, I think, it's kind of a different topic, is what also we talked about with Noodles was superstars.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get them, right?
How do you get those?
Yeah,
You
he was supposed to
draft
be their superstar, and he's not. So now it's like, okay, where are you? Are you back to square one? Because they've got a nice supporting cast here. They just don't have stars.
Like you said about the D, they've got 3 of the best number 2s in the league.
Sure. And if Tanev's your 4th best, that's a deep blue line. I've been telling you, I love this top 4. Like that's a really good group of D-men. And if you have a 3rd line that's got Backlund and Coleman and Mangiapane, like that's a great 3rd line.
Real good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, that Kadri, like that would be a hell of a 2nd line. They got 2 second lines. They don't have a top line. And it's like, they don't have a guy that's going to score 30. They don't have a number 1 center. They don't have a number 1 D-man. It's tough to win in this league.
Because you think about Ottawa, and because Jamie talking about Ottawa, they're not happy with where they're at, obviously. They thought they'd be further along. But imagine if you were still missing the playoffs, but you were using just the Flames mentality, that you're missing the playoffs, but you don't have Stützle, and you don't have Norris, and maybe you don't have Batherson, and maybe you don't have Tkachuk, because you didn't finish low enough to draft high enough to get those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never that simple, because the Flames had a high pick and they took Sam Bennett. It didn't work out. So, okay, right? But Nathan McKinnon scores in overtime last night, 1st overall. I watched the Kings and Leafs after the Wild game last night, Wild and Flames. Not to say it was a different sport, but the pace at which those two teams were playing compared to what we watched with the Wild and the Flames, I mean, it was so stark How do you get Austin Matthews? How do you get these guys?
And it doesn't have to be ones, but like get picks in the top 10. Like we said it, there's 6 teams worse. We'll talk about it in the Pinder Report. There's 6 teams worse in the NHL by points. So that's it.
You talk about the defense here. Imagine if you had Tanev and Anderson, those guys, but you also selected Cale Makar in the top 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it's a different ball game. And I'm with you. Yeah. And I'll let you get to the Pinder Report here, but we talked a little bit about it. The only saving grace, if people are clinging to this as they win games and they don't look nearly as dysfunctional, is they're still close to the bottom, that they can continue to play entertaining hockey, but find a way to get a good draft pick here. And
they're working
high at the deadline or something. I still see that. Who can we get to help out Huberdeau?
Yeah, if they flipped a second for Duclair or something, you'd be like pulling your hair out, right? Like, go get him in free agency when he's cheap. Don't pay for him. No.
Yeah.
Or don't do it at all. He's older.
That's right.
Yeah, again, and that you talked about the pace in the Wild game. I mean, they're missing probably 5 of their best 7 players.
Yeah. That was pretty obvious.
No Zuccarello, right? No Kaprizov, no Brodin, no Gustafsson.
Yeah. The Pinder Report is a presentation of Village Honda. Huge selection of used vehicles. It's what everybody's doing, buying pre-owned vehicles. Big in 2024, I hear. Reading all the analysts and that. All makes, all models, all budgets. Over 70 units on site. Access to more than 400 more inside their dealership group. It's why Village Honda is and should be your one-stop automotive destination in Calgary. They are worth the trip. It's Village Honda in the Northwest Auto Mall. Village Honda presents the Pinder Report.
Fellas, there was a game last night, and Dean, you're feeling guilty. We haven't talked about it. Well, we have. It's just on a show called Afterburner.
Oh, I see.
Brett and I last night broke it down with great detail and incredible insight. Here's a sampling I have not yet heard. The goalies weren't going to let anything go in that wasn't either incredibly lucky or just a real high-skill play.
Well, and I will say that, yes, it was 2-1, 3-1 tight.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like early 2000s.
No.
It was 2-1. There were chances, and the goaltenders were excellent.
Yeah, I thought Marc-Andre Fleury, you think of the two goals. I mean, you got a redirect right in front of him, and then a gorgeous pass that Huberdeau dances around him on a three-way passing. Like, nothing on Fleury. He's not in net for the third one. That's an empty net. And for Jacob Markstrom, I mean, he makes an incredible paddle save only to have the puck go right to Pat Maroon. Those are the three goals tonight.
Yeah, and the goals were good goals against, I guess you'll call them, but also the saves that they kept the puck out of the net were big.
Look at those two smart guys, eh? Dean, how much smarter are you just from that 30-second clip?
I'm absorbing it even as we speak.
I hope you're seated.
Yeah, I'm seated. Thank goodness. Yeah.
Goalies were good. There was a third goal. It didn't go in on a goal. It went into an empty net. That was Blake Coleman, 14 now, on pace for career year. We talked a bit about him last night, Dino.
And how good did Pat Maroon look last night with his goal?
I don't know if you remember it. They played the Wild twice in the gauntlet run, and on one of them, Pat Maroon had a breakaway where he had like a half-zone lead, and someone just scurried back and was in front of him to make it a one-on-one.
There's no
It was
lead.
Chariots of Fire.
Because that play, they showed the one replay from the end, and they show him, it's on the left side of your screen as he's lumbering down. Somehow he chips the puck and he carries it into the zone, just about runs into the lines, but of course he ends up scoring on that play. But yeah, it's the term lumbering would be apropos for his style right now. Hey, the guy's got cups, got more cups than me, so power to him. But yeah, it's
still playing.
Somehow still
kind
playing,
of. Yeah. Here's the standings after the win for the Flames in the Pacific Division. There are very clearly two teams worse than them in the Pacific Division. I put them in the same group as Seattle, and we're all just waiting for Edmonton to take flight here. What is it, 6 in a row now after last night's victory? We'll get to that in a moment. They're now 4 games over. I don't see anyone in that top 4 you're going to catch, fellas. I really don't. And you're also not going to be as bad as Anaheim or San Jose. Let's go to the wild card look-see. You're looking at the points percentage of those wild card teams. We're talking above 550 now. Flames just 500. They knock Minnesota back to 500. It's now 3 losses in a row for the depleted Wild. They're still, I wrote it down, 11-6 under John Hines after last night's loss. And we talked about it. Teams worse than the Flames, short list by points percentage. Those are the only teams in the NHL not 500, Dino. Buffalo, Columbus, Ottawa, Anaheim, Chicago, San Jose.
You do get the feel, because it's who are they going to catch? And then who's going to catch them? They're at 500. Do any of those teams, or which of those teams, give you the feeling that they're going to get on a kind of a roll, or the Flames are going to go on the type of a skid where they're going to leapfrog Calgary?
I only see Buffalo and Ottawa as capable of it, and it's just because there's lots of skill there, and they haven't quite figured it out, but no one would be surprised if those were playoff teams next year. There's just a lot of skill, and it hasn't worked yet. So those are the two that maybe could get. If you get some goaltending in Buffalo, or Jacques Martin gives them a little more structure in Ottawa, maybe that helps.
It would be an interesting kind of a thing if essentially we're at January 1 and see where they're at, and just kind of, I think they'll finish here based on points percentage and what we see now. Because I gotta feel like maybe one team or tops 2 teams kind of shuffle, but I almost feel like you're probably seeing what you're going to get by season's end.
Which, if it's true, Dean, that's top 10 pick, right? That's where you get your William Nylanders and your, John Monahans, et cetera.
Kind of want it higher than 10.
We all did, yeah. And look, they got a deadline too. There will be decisions made. We would not be surprised if it's a much less skilled roster on March 9th than it is today. That, of course, the day after the trade deadline. Let's look at the road trip that lies ahead for them. They open up the 4-game roadie with a win. This is what's left. Thursday in Nashville, and then the back-to-back matinees on the weekend. It's Philly on Saturday. Sunday is the Hawks. You and Cammie have got Afterburner on Thursday. I think we have Pike and Cammie on Saturday, and Pike and Kent Wilson doing Afterburner on Sunday.
The return of Kent Wilson.
Back to Flames Nation, where it all began.
Not since CM Punk returned to the WWE has there been a return more anticipated.
So there might be one that I saw this morning that I'd forgotten about. My kid's on the couch when I get down this morning, no school. Who's on the mic? What do you call it when they're working the mic in wrestling? The
stick.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Rock is running smack on some guy I've never seen before. He back. There's an anticipated return.
Ryan, that's Calgarian Jinder Mahal.
Is that Jinder Mahal?
That's Jinder Mahal.
I'd heard about Jinder Mahal, but he didn't get a word in. It was all just The Rock running this guy through the gauntlet.
Well, just because no one cares, I'll explain this to you. That Triple H had said, a former champion going to be on Raw. So they announced, here's the former champion. Everybody's like, who's it going to be? And then Jinder Mahal came out. He did have a short stint. So everybody was like, oh, this is lame. And then The Rock comes out. So everybody's excited. But the key to this, guys, the key to this is after he beat the tar out of Jinder Mahal, he got on the stick and he said, I'm here in San Diego. I'm going to go out and have a bite to eat. Should I sit in the booth? Should I sit at the bar? Or maybe should I sit at the head of the table? Which, of course, that's Roman Reigns' thing and their family. Ooh. The longest serving champion, the undisputed champion, Roman Reigns getting called out potentially. It could be setting up big things.
I got goosebumps, Dean. I got goosebumps right now.
Yeah. I think we just found a new segment. It's called Dean Breaks Down the WWE. Jack, do we like it? That was better than I thought for a
whole new show.
Well, and you know, we're in good shape to do it because somebody might be going to Philadelphia for WrestleMania in April.
Shut the front door, Dean. Shut the
You're
front
leaving
door.
your house again?
Merry Christmas, kid. Let's go to WrestleMania.
Wow. Did you give your kids Taylor Swift and WrestleMania? Is that what I'm collecting here sifting through the ashes of the holidays?
Dad of the year.
Holy fuck.
Dad of the year. And I said, if we're going to Philadelphia and we're going to WrestleMania, we may as well go to SmackDown on the Friday. So we're we're blowing the doors off. Seravalli's going.
Too, where is it?
Me and Frank.
Wow.
Going to be at the link watching WrestleMania.
Are you guys in a tag team match? What are you guys doing together?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We can't wait to see you two in the leotard.
That's a handicap match, regardless of how many guys are involved.
I thought you were going to go with the natural disasters joke. I wouldn't have made it, Dean.
Typhoon. Yeah.
An earthquake.
Get me in a singlet.
You like high picks. You like number ones overall. You probably like Connor McDavid. Unless, of course, your mortal enemy is the Edmonton Oilers. He eclipsed 900 points last night.
9.
Brett.
9. Seems like a lot.
9.
Yeah. In fact, only 4 players have done it faster ever. Wayne, we've heard of. Mario, you know. Mike Bossy, prolific.
Ooh.
And Peter Stastny. That, wow. That's the name that surprises me on the list. And Yari Curry, I mean, half of those are Wayne's points. Screw off, Yari. That's a hell of a list to be on, friends. A hell of a list. Whew.
Poor Yari. Screw off.
Yari's fine. And so then, the Twitter people get going. Already more points than Ferrero, Marchand, Amante, Brad Park, Corey Perry, Jonathan Taves, Peter Forsberg, Ilya Kovalchuk, Zach Parise, Eric Lindros. That's McDavid's ahead of them all. He's not 27 yet, Rhett. Holy jump.
Quit bragging about him.
I'm not bragging about him.
What was that hand gesture? Yeah, okay.
Again, I will spin this.
You can make that your signature move, Dean, when you go to WrestleMania.
Yeah, what's your move? You got to keep it on camera. There you are. Yeah.
No, I'll come up with something.
Okay.
I do have a signature move. It would be you'd have to come out. You'd be as though you're giving the crowd some attention. It's like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? And then it comes back. It's all about me, baby. It's all about me.
Could you do the cold cuts on the shoulder of people as a signature move? I feel like that'd be awesome.
I could lay in a chop. Absolutely. A reverse knife edge, a big chop like Gunter, the ring general. Whack.
Jesus.
I was involved in some small level wrestling back in the day.
Is that right?
I was a manager.
Here we go.
I was a manager.
Huh. How are your managerial skills?
Very good.
Strong.
I
so
managed,
organized and prepared.
I managed to get involved in the match, but yet, out of the vision and the eye line of the referee, the fans were not pleased with me.
And you haven't been back to Pickle Fest since, have you?
No, it's not Pickle
Heel
Fest.
your whole life, Dean.
Yeah, total heel.
We're starting to figure out what Dean does with in his free time at his house, right?
Oh, cramped up. Oh,
Oh, my kid is just
he's into
24/7.
Really?
do you want these
Before
socks to take?
those are sweet.
That's
can't
your
believe
outfit.
that,
That's who you're wrestling as.
Yes.
I can't
Yes.
wrestle that guy,
You have
yeah.
to wear this to WrestleMania.
Yes, that's a deal.
I'm not sure that's going to happen, but
It sucks.
I'll
You can't
take
wear
it under
socks?
advisement. I'll wear socks. I'm not sure I'm wearing the get up, but
Okay. Well, the socks is a good start.
Yeah.
Jets been on a hell of a roll, fellas. We talked about it with Noodles. You got a goalie, you got a smart coach, you got a good hockey team. How about this? It's not just Connor Hellebuck who's having a sensational year, but the Jets, the third team since the expansion era. That's before Woodstock, Dean. Only the third to allow 3 or fewer in 26 straight. That's a hell of a run. 26. God, that's not like a third of a season. The Wild did it in 14-15. That feels like a Sleepy Wild and a Tuesday team. And the Blues did it in 11-12. By God, the Jets, Dean. How could they do it?
I had no idea that was happening. I saw that they had been winning.
Yeah, they're airtight, man.
Interesting.
Got rid of all those bad apples, and now they're a good team.
Wheeler, see ya. Dubois, see ya.
Yeah.
And the big plot twist there, the heel turn. Everyone thought Hellebuck and Scheifele were going to be bad guys. Good apples.
They're back. Yeah.
Re-signed, having great years. Okay, we'll move on. You ever lost your blade when playing, Rhett? This is always funny to watch on the highlights.
We had a kid lose his blade in a game last week. And then,
Really?
So instead of trying to get off, he went to get his blade.
Oh,
And then he picked it up. And we're like, now what are you
Now
gonna
what?
do with it?
So then he threw it.
oh, that's helpful.
Yeah.
They're dumb. Boys are
Undeveloped
so
brains.
Kids are so
Undeveloped.
dumb.
I'm starting to see it. Like
Oh,
my
yeah.
8-year-olds have regressed to 4-year-olds. They're complete morons right now. It is something.
Well, don't expect it to improve.
I'm
You
not.
got a
I've
decade.
learned too much from you two savants. I have very low expectations for young men.
Might still be high.
Yeah, probably true. World Junior semis are set. Here's what they look like, fellas.
Don't care.
Canada, of course. Jack, could you scroll to the Canada game for us there?
Come on now.
Wrong
dear.
flag.
I know, it's tough. It's tough. Czechia upset the Canadians. They'll get Sweden, the hosts, U.S. and Finland, the other semifinal. What do we want? It's the two favorites are the Americans and the Swedes. You could also have a Sweden-Finland final. I feel like you got to get the host in the final. That'd be fun.
Sweden for sure. Let's go Sweden.
Get some schnapps, some pickled herring.
Meatballs, blondes.
Elancor.
Oh, the meatballs at Aquavit in New York City. Oh my God.
Let's talked about those before.
IKEA has some good meatballs too. I don't know if
They
you
are
know.
not
the
up
same
to
price point as
same
Aquavit, I'm guessing.
standard as
Yeah.
Aquavit.
Yeah.
They're
Now,
better
Dean,
than you'd think. They're
I have a
sneaky
question
good.
for you. They
Listen,
are good
I've
value.
eaten them. I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
It's a good
They're
price
sneaky
point.
good.
If you're going to be able to afford Taylor Swift and WrestleMania tickets, you got to save some money here. You can't go to Aquavit. You got to go to
I'm
IKEA.
telling you, it's
Did
it's,
you, like, what is kind of, were you digging in your backyard and that can of coffee that had just cash overflowing?
You selling dope out of your basement? What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you smuggling?
Now I've got the tickets. They haven't been paid for yet,
What?
but I've purchased the tickets. There has been a transaction made, but the payments. Yeah.
What's that day in January, right, where the bill comes in?
I think
Dark
it's
Monday?
next Monday or Tuesday. Yeah.
Let's
Can't
get some
wait.
sun in Phoenix for Big Boy before that day hits.
Oh.
I do have some good news, Dean. Financially,
Thanks.
you're about to walk into a massive windfall.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Let's have a look, and I need you to answer this question. What, Dean, for you, makes you feel powerful?
What
Is it
gives
money?
people feelings of power?
Is
Money?
it status, or is it being crowned a fantasy football champion?
Well, I only have one of the three. So luckily it's the one that seems to be seems to be the best, which is being crowned fantasy champion.
And so I will be happy to fax you over a check for $1,000.
Hey, thanks.
As soon as the final member of the league pays his dues. 14 people. Everyone was paid up right at the time of the draft back in September. Except one.
There's a delinquent?
I Venmo'd you.
I don't have Venmo. I don't know.
It's not my
Venmo
fault.
Works.
Not my fault.
We're starting a new segment on the Pinder Report called Rhett's Debts. And Frank Seravalli and I are on the list. And by me, I mean you, Dean, because that's your $100 that's missing.
Yeah.
So today on Rhett's Debts, send me $100 so I can send Dean $1,000 so his kids can go to WrestleMania.
Is it only 1,000? I thought it was more than this.
Oh,
200 for the regular season.
Go. That's how he's paying for the
1,000.
tickets.
He was cashing that check before he even won the thing.
All right.
Hell of a team.
I'll tell you
about
what,
the money.
Impressive performance in
Wire
the
to
last
wire,
2
basically.
games. Like 140 points averaging. Like you can't beat that.
He throttled McBride in the final.
I did throttle McBride, and I did. I put the boots to Rhett. But remember, in this quarterfinal or
you needed it. That's right. Hurts on a Monday.
I was down going into Monday night. My opponent was done. I needed a big night out of Jalen Hurts, who was sick and maybe not going to play.
A flu game.
And I ended up winning by 5 because he came through with a couple of rushing touchdowns. And so on the last night, I snuck through and then clobbered my way to victory. So kids, never give up. Let me be your inspiration. Or my stinking barn painters fantasy football team.
God, they were good. Was that wire to wire, or were you the 2 seed at the end? Because
I was
McBride
2
had a wagon
seed.
too. Okay.
I started 8-0, and then I lost 3 of 4, and McBride usurped me.
Yeah.
And he laid the boots to me along the way too in the regular season. I thought I was cooked.
I was a 2 seed in my other league and managed to win. That's very exciting. It's been a decade, so I'm happy for you, Dean.
Thanks.
And while I was very excited to receive the winning money from that league, I immediately now have to send that to you because I don't know where the other stuff went.
Right? Yeah, that's the worst part.
Where's that money?
I will never be the commissioner or the treasurer of a league.
It's the worst
because that money's just calling you. Hey, how you doing? It's $1,000 over here. I'm just sitting right here if you want to do something.
Yeah, $1,400 back in September. You think that's still around? Yeah, that's been spilled on the floor of many a bar between now and then.
There's a bunch of brown bills sitting here just waiting for you.
Brown bills turn into brown juice. That's all I know. Ugh. All right, last couple. No Thursday night football tomorrow, Rhett. I'm sorry about that, but we do have a doubleheader for you on Saturday. Jack, tuck it under your belt. The Steelers are in action and are not yet eliminated. And look at this. Steelers, Ravens. Now, Jack was very bullish on the Steelers being the best team in the division. All they have to do is prove it on Saturday. And are they in, Jack? What's the status here? Mason Rudolph, your boy?
No, they need some help. So either the Jags would have to lose or the Bills will have to lose.
Bills aren't losing. Sorry.
Just beat Baltimore.
Beat Baltimore, and then one of the two things. And then there's like a third way they could get in, but I think the Colts and Texans would have to tie.
Ties or some crazy shit. Yeah, okay. And then the other game is the Texans and the Colts who play on Saturday. So implications of sorts. It doesn't sound like Baltimore's going to use everyone either, guys, because they've locked up that 1 seed in the AFC. So it is interesting to see what type of team Pittsburgh will be playing. Hence the line. They're favored by 3.5 on Betway. Goodness.
I'll sell these socks for my entry fee. Pinder.
Those aren't worth $100. I'll take 10 pairs though. 10 for 100. Let's go.
No. These are one of a kind.
5 final offer.
One of a kind.
You know what's stupid is we could sell some of those things.
Absolutely, we could.
People would buy those.
Talk to the shoveler. Let's sell those. They
Jack,
look great.
Start a poll and see who wants Boomer socks.
Would you buy Drew Carey / Minions Boomer socks?
Now, did she do that or did she have someone help her? Because that's clearly they just screen grab that off of.
There's been people working behind the scenes, Dean. Don't worry. That's just one item of clothing.
Is she that technically savvy?
Absolutely not, Dean.
All right.
She's a people person.
She knows how to order shit, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. She knows how to Venmo.
Yeah. Getting that delivered to the house was not a problem.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Dumb shit to close out. I hope you're excited for the mayonnaise bowl.
Delicious.
What's the mayonnaise bowl?
Oh, God. I can't even look.
I'll show you what the mayonnaise bowl is.
Oh,
I was going to say that was what was one of the top things that was mentioned to me after the Drinky show was did he really have mayonnaise in his cupboard? Yeah, he did.
And then look at this. In the press box, there is a soft serve machine. Is there mayonnaise? Is there? Now, do we have people chugging mayonnaise? Did we get that thrown in or no?
No.
Okay, I thought that's what we had. This different mayonnaise clip. Either way, people are literally just walking around with the squirty mayonnaise.
It's no good down here.
Is it no good?
No, it's no
You got
good.
Hellman's
It's
there. What are you
It's not
talking about?
really
Isn't
that
that
good
like
to be-
that's the champagne of mayonnaise?
It's not that good to begin with, but it's really not good down here.
Well, don't you? Isn't that some kind of healthy? What? It's got the green label. What do you got there? What do you got? Some
That's flavored.
It's olive oil, man.
Olive oil.
I don't think it's instead of canola oil, probably.
Now, Rhett and Rob Ray always, they're fixing up their places. They have houses that back onto each other's yards. You can see through the fence. And these videos are catching everything. You guys can't hide any of your mistakes anymore, right? Walk us through what you were doing here, because I think you were fixing something on the garage.
We just had some work we needed to get done. The lights, it's Christmas, right? So we had the ladder out.
Down.
Yeah, it's probably time to get those down, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the date to take those down? Is it
Oh my God. Is that an F. Trudeau sticker on your window?
No, I think it's I buy stuff on Google or something like that. Anyway, is that Rob or you? I can't see too well.
That's Razor.
That's Razor.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
This is definitely a good idea. Yeah, for sure.
I was asking if he thought this was smart, but he was convinced.
It looked like he'd done it before, to be fair. Like, this looks like
Yeah,
a guy that's pulled this move off.
He owns a lot of properties down here, and he does his own maintenance. So I
Saves money,
trust,
yeah.
trust that he knows what he's up to. So.
What is going through this guy's mind?
I do like the length of this video because it does keep you hanging. See, no problem, guys. Look, totally fine. Oh. Now, what does he yell at the end? Is it effer? I think he yells effer.
I think he yells effer. That I don't know how he had wind in his chest.
I was just going to say, the fact that he was able to yell is amazing.
With all those broken ribs, impressive work.
It's one of those things that there was only one way that was going to go, because of course the ladder was going to kick out, which makes you think, did he do it on purpose? But you've got to really want to commit to a video going viral to take that kind of punishment. Or
No,
if you're just that stupid.
If it wasn't right over the driveway, because that is where you'd put a camera. Like, that's a spot you'd have it. There's the doorbell cameras. There's the above the garage camera. Like, that to me is not AI, nor actors.
That's broken ribs.
That is pain.
Yeah.
That's red on the hoverboard. Oof.
God.
And by the way, Rob Ray is not happy.
With
my release of the Friday.
He's not, hey?
Oh, that was that the drinking show too?
Of topless Rob?
Oh my God. In his ginch doing some gardening or whatever.
Chippendale Razor.
Yeah. Well, how did he hear? You just had
people just started stuffing 20s in his mailbox.
Old sweetie, Georgie.
Old George.
George is
flapping his gums down there.
Loose lips sink ships, George. Come on.
Hey, George,
sweetie.
shut your pie hole, would you? How's now? Is Ray concussed after taking that puck to the bean? How's he doing?
Back. I think he's okay now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone that played with him makes fun because it's like, you never got cut. Like he didn't cut.
Yeah.
Ever. Never saw him bleed.
And to be fair, it was more of like a divot than like bleeding, but he did get cut.
Yeah.
Looked like someone took a sandwich to the middle of his eyebrows. Ooh. Last couple. So Christmas is past, eh? Because this would have been great to have 2 weeks ago. Look at this idea. Oh. Are you kidding me? That's something they should fire in Greta right there.
That seems like a Greta move. Yes.
That's a hell of a Greta move. You rent it by the time limit. You have full access to the fridge underneath and all the games you want to play.
So that's the full-size stand-up arcade machine.
And
with
it's
a
the old
beer
Nintendo
fridge
system
in the bottom.
And those old machines probably have every game from the 80s to 2000, right?
There are some of those. I saw one online.
Yeah.
Actually, a buddy of mine has one. It's unbelievable.
Come on.
Yeah.
101 and 1. Love it. We'll talk to Casey, see if we can't get the special room for us.
Let's go, Greta. Come on.
You know what else? If he doesn't want to, if they don't want to do it at Greta, just in the corner beside you, Pinder.
Yeah, set her up.
Not the worst idea.
I need some of that Taylor Swift fantasy football money if we're going to be buying one of those in this room. Let's go. Rhett, you've always loved traveling the world and experiencing different cuisine, haven't you?
I love it.
Now,
Absolutely.
what was the cuisine like in India? Because I know we think of Indian food, but it's a huge country. I mean,
It was good for me. It was good for me. The shoveler struggled to the point where she couldn't even stand up for about 3 days. So something hit her.
And was that physical or mental? Because I mean, sometimes you can get psyched out.
It was a physical, debilitating. It wasn't the best, and I almost left her. We were only dating at the time. We were.
Yeah.
We got a trip here. You can't keep up.
You almost left a girlfriend puking and unable to stand in India.
So you were less sensitive
asshole.
when you were dating, unlike now when you're married.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
It
Well, we
is.
got some video. This is, I think, what might have been part of the problem. Let's see. Cooking here. I need you to look closer now. Like,
I
and
don't
then look
like
over
that.
here.
I don't
Yeah.
like that. I'm not a fan.
Well, don't worry. We'll zoom in so you can see. You might be a fan of it.
No, I'm not.
Oh, and is that it's not a chipmunk, is it? Wee.
Is that AI?
That is not AI. And that's why you can't stand for a few days. Finally, Rhett on that vacation, I believe he went to India, also went to Australia. And he picked up the love of a new sport called surfing.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Oh, Red. You got to catch the break further out, man. There's no water there to land on. Look at this.
The best part about this is I went on a surf trip and we ended up in Byron Bay. And so we were just hanging out in Byron Bay. And now I'm an expert surfer, right? Because I was on a surf trip. So I went and took a board and went out by myself and accomplished about that. And I didn't have the wrap on my foot. My board was 7 miles away.
Oh, no.
It was one wave and bye. I'm done.
The waters were angry that day, my friend.
Byron Bay. Not boring. Very good, Rhett. Very good. That's your Pinder Report, friends, on this whatever day it is today.
Brought to you by
Wednesday,
Village
January
Honda.
the 3rd.
That's right. Your dealership for life. New in-stock inventory on the ground. More arriving daily. Start your automotive adventures at Village Honda. New vehicle pricing is MSRP. That and more. You're full. It's like they say. It's your automotive destination. Whatever it is. New, used, service. It's the only place to go. It's your dealership for life. It's Village Honda.
Oh, life.
Oh, life. Tomorrow is Thursday. That means Ask Rhett for Bonton Meats. Get your questions in for Retro. We'll take them at the email address askrhett@flamesnation.ca. Or if you'd like, you can go through via the X, which used to be Twitter, and use the hashtag AskRhett, and we'll be able to find them that way as well. So going inside the curious mind that is Rhett Warner.
Complex mind, I would say.
Yeah, it is.
It's basically like having access to the world's greatest encyclopedia. And
Those
conspiracy
used to be a thing, an encyclopedia.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some at Grandma and Grandpa's house. I showed the boys. They're like, what? And I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, the internet, Google replaced this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was your parents taking an interest in your well-being as a kid. When they
Trying.
salesman would show up at your door and then they'd buy these books.
Was it a Funkenweg?
That's a dictionary.
Funkenweg was a dictionary. Yeah, this was ours were brown, two-tone brown with gold lettering. So fancy.
Encyclopedia
Gold.
Britannica.
Britannica.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which were out of date by the time Dummy walked in the door to try and sell them to you.
Yeah. Yep.
So do these update as things happen in the world? No.
Yeah, they refresh. You just got to get that software. You got to download the new software.
Oh yeah, it's an amazing technology.
Yeah. Venus is now not a planet in those anymore. They've updated that. Or Uranus. You know what's it, Venus?
Yeah.
Pluto. Pluto's the one. He's the outsider.
Don't remember ever using them either. When you had a project or something to do in school, do you ever remember hauling out the friggin' encyclopedia?
I did it once. I did it for a report on cassette tapes and how the sound got out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's been an audio expert for a while. If you're a fan
Yeah.
of the show, you know that.
Real passion for sound.
Do you ever think about stuff like that where it's an archaic type of a technology? And as I sit here today, still no idea how it works. Like that's amazing. Like the 8-track.
Dude, even vinyl. Like, how does the needle pick? I don't
Exactly.
get it. I don't get it.
How does it know where to? where to do it. You should have seen my kid, Ryan. I did the my kid wanted these Stanley Cups. The Stanley travel mugs are all
yeah.
popular.
Those are
So
big
my
hit right
daughter
now.
wanted one.
Yeah.
And I gave her the old, how does it know? What do you mean? Well, if you put a hot drink inside, it keeps it hot.
Keeps it
If you
hot.
put a cold drink in, it keeps it cold.
it
How does it know when to heat it up or when to cool it?
How does it know?
Well, I don't know. I know. It's pretty amazing, right? Like
When
when you put
encyclopedias to check.
yeah, when you put the cold, is there like a switch or something that you have to? No.
switch it to cool.
That's unbelievable. How does
Poor-
it know?
Poor kid hasn't slept in days.
I
Yeah.
don't
Bruised.
know.
Stumped.
And clearly she's got her dad's friggin' brain in her head. So sorry, sweetheart.
I do remember the encyclopedias once being like, okay, we got to do a project in another country and just flipping through. Like, let's find a country. Prussia. I'm going to do my, fuck.
Yeah.
Prussia.
Yeah. Czechoslovakia.
God damn it.
Oh, is that what's the
The Ottoman
eh?
Empire. No, these are
Damn it.
old.
Let's take a look at some Betway bets for today. Get that Betway app. You know what? There's more tech. I don't know how it works, but it's great. Betway, you get the app. It's on your phone. You can play along. You bet the responsible way with Betway. Maybe you get on your laptop. Maybe you get on your tablet, but you play along. I was actually sitting around with some old heads during the holidays, and I don't really understand the minus numbers and that. So I was doing a little point spread, kind of a tutorial for some of the guys. So I pulled out my Betway app. So it's minus 5.5. You have to win by 6, that whole thing. So there's a lot of learning going on. Thank you, Betway. Thank you for teaching us the way to a better life.
Spreading the knowledge, Dean. Look at you.
That's right. Let's take a look. Only 2 games in the NHL tonight. Quiet night. I'm going to the Toronto-Anaheim game. I'm going to take the Toronto money line, so an anytime win and a total goals of over 5.5
Okay.
in the game.
They had Marty Jones shutout last night, but it's some kid making his NHL debut potentially tonight. I don't mind that over there.
So plus 115. That's kind of your it's a little parlay, I suppose, but it is actually one bet inside the app. And Tyler Bertuzzi's been playing better, had points last night. Just get a point tonight, you grubby bugger. And it pays plus 110. Have you seen his style? They were showing last night. He has no butt end on his stick. It's like sawed right off, and then he takes a little strip of tape and puts it over. There's something weird with this guy. But I say he gets a point, and I'll take the plus 110.
Yeah. Minus 600. He's got a weird tape job for sure. That's not paying much. Here are my bets. Tomorrow, we will see semifinal action. And then, of course, the finals. I'm looking at futures for the whole tournament. This is an outright win of the World Juniors, the U20s. I like Sweden at home. It's a fun story. And the Americans are heavy favorites. They're like minus 143. So I like the number a little better on Sweden. Beat the Canadians in the round robin. And I think have the softer matchup of the semifinals. They got Czechia tomorrow morning. I'm also going to go on the Toronto having a good night against a bad Ducks team. If Matthews and Nylander score, it's plus 250. We've seen this bet a lot with Draisaitl and McDavid. I'm going to jump on the 2 horses in Toronto tonight on Betway.
Get the Betway app. Like we say, it's right there. You search for it, you find it, you get on your phone, and then play along. Game's already started, don't matter. Get in there. Get in there and have some fun, but bet the responsible way with our buddies at Betway, the official gaming partner of Barn Burner. Let's do DoorDash, and I just some final thoughts on the Flames game from last night. I know you guys did the show last night, but kind of a quiet night, I suppose. In a way, we kind of laid it out there for you. But for what's on the menu for DoorDash, you get get it on your, again, it's all about the phones. How does this technology work? No idea. But you get the DoorDash app. You get what you want from where you want, whenever you want it. Restaurants, groceries, pharmacies, bakeries, and more. And for a limited time, you can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more with the promo code NATION25, NATION25. And that is at the DoorDash app. So what have we got on the menu for DoorDash?
It's a double dip of Toronto sports, Dino. We're going to start in Memphis. Wow. With the Raptors against the Memphises. That's a 6 p.m. tip-off. Then it's the Leafs and Ducks from Anaheim at 7 p.m. It's an early start out west, which is a little unusual. 6 o'clock local time in Orange County. Who knew? That's what's on the menu.
Very nice. Quick and easy. DoorDash, just like DoorDash. Dash that for the win with DoorDash. So we can talk about the wins and the points and all of that, but I guess just if you want to look at the game, I wasn't sure putting obviously Mangiapane going to the backline line. It's like clockwork, right? He scores, was good the other night, had 3 assists or whatever it was, and then scores last night. So that line looks just fine. Is there any reason to think that the Huberdeau Lindholm pairing can have any kind of chemistry? We've seen it before. It's been used and then blown up almost as quickly as it was put together. I just wonder, are these some lines that we might see not only stay together, but actually have some results here?
I can see them staying together. I still question whether Huberdeau and Lindholm can survive. The other line's going to produce.
Yeah.
But
I think the pair is Sharangovich and Lindholm, to be honest. And it's just that Huberdeau might be a better fit with that pair than the Backlund-Coleman pair. Like, Huberdeau's not a part of the pair. We know that. Like, you can go, it's Zary and Kadri work well together, Sharangovich and Lindholm, and it's Coleman and Backlund, and the rest of the guys just get moved around. I guess Pospisil may be a bit of an exception there, but maybe Huberdeau isn't one of your pairs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. For you, Red, obviously, I'm just curious. Is there anything that you see as to why Lindholm and Huberdeau? Is it because they're too similar? They're too dissimilar? Is there any reason why? Because you watched last night, that's big brain kind of a play. Why hasn't it been better than awful?
What? Even? Okay, so let's talk about that. What was the big brain kind of a play? The pass by
Lindholm.
That was
and then
a
the
hell
patience.
Of a pass. But it was a turnover kind of by Minnesota more than anything that allowed, and it was Sharangovich getting it to Lindholm, and you don't see them come down the ice and threaten. Do you know what I mean? Like, on that play, it was a really nice play. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away from it, but it wasn't we're going to get control of the puck and dominate for a shift. Right? It wasn't we're going to get control of the puck and dominate this shift, and then we're going to dominate the next shift. And we're actually going to put 3 or 4 or 5 shifts together where we're in their end and they're having a hard time handling us. You just don't see that. So I don't know what the issue is. They don't click together.
Mm-hmm.
And
who has Huberdeau clicked with, to be fair?
And I'm not making, it's
like, and I'm not trying to fight your point. It's a
slow.
totally separate point. I just don't think he's clicked with anyone. I don't think it's a him and Lindholm. It's a him and anyone right now.
I think he's not fast. You said it last night. You watched LA and Toronto. What's the pace there?
Yeah.
It's like it's zipping around and they're moving and it's high end, go. That's not it's not him. And honestly, the one place that you would just pray that he could figure it out on, because I don't think he is fast, is the power play. And he doesn't.
It's in the second unit.
It's no good. I don't know why. Like, what? That's the place where he should have an impact, without doubt. There's no reason he doesn't have to do anything unique, or he doesn't have to rush it. He should have more time and space. Doesn't happen. So I don't see one thing other than I don't think Huberdeau can play with pace. And maybe Lindholm's the same way, because Lindholm's not lightning fast. He's certainly not slow. Nobody in the league is really Patty Maroon.
When you look at the line that he played on in Florida that year, and again, it's every year it's a year further in the rearview mirror and less to do with what's happening today. But it was Bennett in the middle, and it was Duclair on the right. And when they made the Sharangovich deal, it was like, man, there's some similar tools between Duclair and Sharangovich. Like, these guys can both fly, they both have a heavy shot, and they're both not necessarily like massive hockey IQ guys. Like, they're nice parts to put with certain players. Yeah. And I was stunned that we spent a month watching Sharangovich on the fourth line. Now, whatever happened has worked, because he's been a much better player since then. But playing with pace and playing on a line with a guy that brings a lot of pace are two separate things. And Huberdeau did have his best season ever with, I think Bennett moves fine, but Duclair can really fly. And I'm not suggesting it's a solution because I'm not expecting a solution on this one. I just think he's never going to be a dominant player again. Like, you're paying him to be a superstar. I don't know that he'll be a star again. Like, I just don't see a point per game player ever happening again.
If you're getting 50 to 60 out of Huberdeau, you better be jumping for joy.
He's on pace for 38 points. 38.
38's too. I mean, at 38, you almost you get disgusted and want to. If he's getting you 30, 35 points a year, 30 to 40 even, it's too low. He's got to get to 50.
Oh, it's horrendous.
I mean, well, and back to your original point, if those numbers are going to go up, it would be by virtue of power play success.
Yes.
Because 5-on-5, it seems you know what you're getting. You're right. They're not hitting the line with speed. They're not dominating teams. It's got to be off of a
What's your threat?
A situation where you've gained the zone and that first opportunity goes in. Because it's hard to watch sometimes.
You know, if I think about it that way, okay, I'm a defenseman defending against this group, me and my partner, and we're going, okay, how are we going to play these guys? You play them straight up.
Yeah.
You're not worried to get in their face. Slow. They're not going to beat you with speed. I don't think, like you just said, Sharangovich is not overly creative. I don't think Lindholm. I think Lindholm's a really smart, solid player, but I wouldn't call him creative.
Yeah.
So you're not worried about they're going to spin you around like a top. They would. It sounds ignorant, but they're not hard to play against.
We said it last night. There's one guy on the team that has poise and creativity, and it's Zary. No one else has both those things. And that's why it's so exciting, right? To have him arrive, because no one saw that coming.
Lindholm was able to play well with guys that had that creativity, right?
Yeah,
you go back to that year, and that's another thing. Probably in a lot of cities where they have high-end players, it's having trouble finding guys that can play with that high-level skill. To Lindholm's credit, he could see it, and he fit in just fine with a couple of world-class players. But it's, I guess for everybody, it would become a whole lot harder. I like Sharangovich. I like the way he just looks far more comfortable in his skin. He's making plays. He does have some speed, but Zary seems to be the only guy that has a trick up his sleeve where he's going to try and beat you outside or go outside inside or any of that. And I didn't see that coming. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
But when you're relying,
that's what's scary. Like,
when you're relying on this guy. Yeah. And you know what? How about friggin' AJ Greer?
Awesome last night. Credit
to 7 shots on net. Hey, you got picked up on waivers. Everybody kind of scoffed. Oh, great. Who is this guy? This guy's played his ass off. Yeah. And he's been really good. And I know that maybe they trade him or whatever. You keep this guy around, I got no problem with it. You should have enough fourth liners in your franchise, you would think, in your system. But that guy hasn't hung his head or done anything. He's been balls out every game. So
and he's making less than league minimum, $762,000, because he signed a 2-year deal before league min went up. Like, it doesn't get better than that. And if Connie, look, as long as he doesn't walk as a UFA, this is a huge win for the Flames. You trade him, you've turned a waiver claim into an asset.
Yeah.
And if you re-sign him, it's like, well, shit, yeah, that is a guy playing the right way that you have no problem being your 12th forward. And if you're ever a cup contender again, he can be your 13th forward. I mean, it's funny. Milan Lucic going to Boston probably allows the Flames to get AJ Greer.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
It's like he's probably one slot higher on the forward depth chart there if Milan's not there, and might not need waivers. He stays on the team. That's a hell of a find for Connie.
Did you like the way Osterley played that?
God, that was bad.
Minnesota goal. I guess first there was the turnover and then
Well, I was thinking of the egregious turnover. It was like, just don't put it on that's right on his tape.
Yeah, that's right on his tape.
They keep going back to him, not a lot, but I'm always like, kind of like.
Well, and in fairness, he keeps doing stuff that makes them able to go away from him.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, why is he back in? Like, I like the DeSimone Gilbert pairing. If I have to pick two of those 3 guys.
Another quiet night from Dylan Dubé.
The line was good though, right? Like you talked about AJ Greer. He's part of that in a way. But yeah, we talked about it last night. He's a RFA with arb rights. You have to qualify him at 2.3. If you eat half the money, he feels overpaid the way he's playing right now. And he is a guy that scored 18 twice in a row, but it's It looks so far from that right now. And
Doesn't it?
And it's like
fresh start.
And the problem is, how do you give him a fresh start? You're basically gonna have to do a favor for him and for another team because
you just don't
use a
qualify
salary
him.
retention slot on him. Yeah, it's like
you
can't trade him.
just
I don't
don't
think
qualify him.
it's too much money.
Well, men, we did good work today.
Did we?
Noodles
We did good work today.
Noodles did really good work today.
Noodles
Whoever
so
thought
good,
of
eh?
getting Noodles
Yeah.
on the show, that's good work.
Yeah. Set his alarm in Vancouver to get up. Now, in fairness, it was 9 a.m.
That's a good
It's not a
sleep.
crazy
Nice
alarm,
news.
right?
That's
It's not
pretty good for 9, actually.
Yeah,
now that
it's not a
He's,
crazy ask.
I'd put him on my all play guilty team. Like that's your goalie on that team. Rhett's playing D. He's in net.
He would not a complainer, right? There wouldn't be
No.
oh man, I'm so tired. It's
great today.
I went out and did it. You got to pay the piper. I'm ready to roll.
And so, what age can I stop going to the Roxy? He said 52 is too old.
Yeah, he's like get kicked out at 52. I thought the Roxy was closed. Is it still open?
I don't know.
I think the reports of its demise were premature.
Maybe. Yeah, could be.
I will
Yeah,
do the
could
goobs
be.
though.
Was that a place? Well, the thing, would you stay in Vancouver?
I've
Not
been
a
to
lot,
the
right?
Roxy once, but not very often. Where we ever?
Yeah, you'd get
Yep.
out of there.
Yep. Vancouver was a shit show 2 years in a row in Florida. We played in Edmonton and then we were playing in Vancouver, and twice we had to land in Seattle. Then the one year we had to circle for an hour, land in Seattle, wait for the bus from the airport in Vancouver to drive to Seattle to pick us up to drive us back to Vancouver.
God.
That was NHL at its finest. And then the next year, same thing, get to Vancouver, circle, send us to Seattle, sitting in Seattle. I don't know who, somebody freaked out, and somehow we got back on the plane and flew back to Vancouver. And then 2 years in a row.
No bueno.
Somebody pissed
no
somebody off.
Did either of you guys watch the outdoor game? Speaking of Seattle,
Sub it. Look good.
no, I
The
didn't.
jerseys look good.
I do like those Seattle jerseys. I thought they looked great.
And Vegas's were fine. That big
Yeah.
fancy V. I like that. Good gold color.
But yeah, I didn't. I almost forgot it was happening, and then social media tells you, "All right, it's happening today." But I didn't see a lick of it. I saw somebody complaining because how's it an outdoor game when there's a roof over the stadium? It's like, well, stupid. It's a retractable roof. And yeah, I can understand why they put it over top, dummy. But it's very much become a, is it in your city? Then get excited.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then it's okay, good.
And it's been 10 years since it's been that, in my opinion. Like it really, if you got nothing else to do and you're on your couch, sure. But it's not appointment viewing unless you're in the market, one of the two teams.
Do you watch any college football?
When's the Mayo Bowl, Jack? Mayonnaise?
I don't know.
Is the big game this weekend?
I got watching the Rose Bowl. That Michigan-Alabama game went to overtime. That was actually pretty exciting.
So that's part of the playoff, correct? That one there?
Yeah.
Yes.
So now it's Washington and Michigan
Mhm.
in the championship.
Where did Florida State end up doing? Because they were the team that got screwed. They were perfect and didn't make the
They're in
playoff.
the Mayo Bowl.
They're in the Mayonnaise Bowl against the Mountaineers. Is that right?
I'm not sure what it goes.
Yeah.
Did you see that play call that Alabama had at the end of the game? Like from the 5-yard line, they just ran a QB draw and got nothing.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. How are you feeling about your Steelers, Jack?
Pretty good lately.
Now, were you on the Mason Rudolph?
Oh, he loves them. Yeah.
Yes.
All year he was
Because
screaming.
I
Don't you
sure
remember
think
his preseason take? Like
I thought
Mason
Pickett
Rudolph
was
the best.
He's loved everyone. He loved Pickett, and then who's
I
the guy?
didn't
after
love
Pickett?
Trubisky.
Yeah.
No, you didn't love
okay.
Trubisky.
So you
He's
did
straight
love
shit.
Mason.
That's odd because he's been so good.
He's been so good. So, I just sure, if dollars to donuts, I could swear that you were all about Kenny Pickett at the start of the year. That this guy and him and Pickens were going to be lookout league. Here we come.
Yeah, he was definitely hard
definitely
on the win the division plus 550 bet on Betway.
I was. But look at them now. I mean, they put up
Yeah, they
30
did win the
points back to back.
Look at him now.
Look at him now.
So what did
Too
happen?
good to
Is
pick
it-
high and too low to.
Yeah. Was it strength of schedule? Or what happened along the way that kept this juggernaut from winning the division?
Well, it was Matt Canada at first.
Right.
Right.
For
How
weeks.
could I forget?
Yeah.
That's right.
And
Because
then
there
it
had
was
to be something.
Yeah, it was Matt Canada for about 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Then it quickly became, well, he's gone. They still suck. Kenny Pickett, he sucks. He gets hurt. Trubisky comes in. He's significantly worse. They lose to the Patriots, the Cardinals, Colts.
Oh.
Not even close. And then Rudolph comes in. 30 points, back-to-back games.
It's no Joe Flacco, but it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
You've been hating on the Browns all year too, just destroying them.
Yeah, they've been, I mean, who would have thought with Flacco?
Flock around and find out. That's what the sign
That
said.
Flacco thing truly is amazing.
Unbelievable. And he's played himself into like another $20 million. That's a guy someone will pay.
Years ago, when he was still in ball, remember we'd have Lackenfora doing his Joe Flacco, like doing his. We were tired of watching Flacco 5 years ago, so I never need to see this guy play again. And now, because of how things are in the NFL, one of the more exciting quarterbacks. Watch what he throws such a great ball. Watching like Good Morning Football and that, it's all of a sudden Joe Flacco just such a tight spiral. He throws such a great ball.
Did it without Amari Cooper last week too.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is. And your Bills are peaking just at the right time, Retro.
Just like you told us they would.
Winning games.
Yeah.
The run game. Their coach.
I've decided I can't go to the one pub to watch the game because it's too dicey. DeMar Hamlin happened, the Jets happened, another loss. It's been unsuccessful. I got to
scar tissue there.
You don't strike me as being a superstitious guy. I'm surprised to hear that.
Come on, Rhett. That's not science based.
That's not you.
Listen,
it's not science based, is right.
And that's what I'm about.
You are.
Coincidence is not correlation.
Follow the science.
I wore these socks and he got hurt.
One of my favorite low-key moments on the show from last year is when I threw at you, "Hey, Rhett, you're a crazy person." And then there was something, and the way you laughed, it kind of caught you off guard, but it's like, yeah, it's kind of right. Yeah, I am kind of a crazy person. It's just your reaction.
Oh, God. All right, I got to show it now.
Okay. What could it be that triggered this memory?
Is this going to top the stormtrooper mask? The red light stormtrooper?
Oh, yeah, there it is. So that is...
What is that?
But what you're not seeing underneath it is my new grounding mat, an infrared grounding mat. So with the face mask on, I got the infrared, the grounding mat, the PEMF.
Yeah.
It's very effective.
So Santa came through with everything you'd hoped for.
Yes.
Take 2 Tylenols for that, I think. Yeah.
Now, isn't the grounding mat supposed to be on the ground, not like on top of you or on the couch?
No.
I thought the grounding mat was you get it on the ground and then it helps bring all of the
wouldn't it be a blanket if it's not on the ground? The mat's on the ground.
The soil or whatever it is.
No. You got the crystals in that mat and things are warming up. It's good.
So that mask, is that a new one from the
No, that's the old one. I've got
got
the real good setup now. I've got the
Jabberwocky's mask.
Mm-hmm.
You must be sleeping like a baby, hey, Rhett?
It does all the lights. It's got the blue light, the red light, yellow, pink. It's very
unbelievable.
It's a full dance party there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what percentage of you is doing it just to kind of feed the narrative that you're a crazy person?
I believe in it. I think
you
it's
do.
Great.
You're probably right.
You believe that you're crazy, or
no? I'm not. I think it's a lot of. It'll come around. You're gonna figure it out. Yeah. I'm gonna have AI scan my body here in the next couple weeks as well.
It's probably good info for AI to have, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's like when you sent your DNA out in the mail.
Here's what people always say that to me, and I'm not sure if I've responded to you about this. You always give me a hard time about it. If someone wanted your DNA, how hard do you think it would be?
Yeah, they go find some hairball in the corner of my house.
It would take about 30 minutes max if they really were.
No, it was just funny because it was a time on the old show where you were very, very protective of your information, and then we were just like Did you just mail out your DNA to like a company? You're like,
You're
I guess I did.
100%.
Jeez.
And I was too stupid to think of it, and it did seem odd. But now
And then
I'm
they sent it back and they said you were a dinosaur or something. It was pretty awesome.
Neanderthal.
Yeah.
And then, but now I've read listened to the book called "This Is How They Tell Me the World Ends," and there's nothing private going on in your world if they want.
The Neanderthals will survive that.
No, hey.
Even the companies that they talk about the VPNs and stuff. Well, who do you think developed the VPN network? You're trying to hide it's impossible. You're done. No. It's over. You're cooked.
Why do I feel like you're the last guy that should be reading the book? This Is How the World Ends.
Yeah. No, you got to have
the first
info,
guy.
Dean. You know, some of the. Did you see that Zuck's building a bunker? I mean, you got to be on top of this stuff. You got to take your lead from people.
How's your
Is
bunker
Zuck building a
coming along?
bunker?
Zuck is he's got bunker. Yeah, it's
No. Last I saw, he was doing Muay Thai to fight Elon.
Musk. Oh,
Yeah.
that's going to be. I think I'd still like to see that happen.
Yeah.
Musk said he's just going to lay on him. He's going to whale him.
Yeah. What's Elon doing these days?
Ruining
He's not out
Twitter.
much.
Thank you
He
very
doesn't
much.
do.
Hey?
He really doesn't do much. That guy.
All it is porn bots and spam ads now I get on X. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's a lot of
This
porn.
place has gone to shit.
Building tunnels and rocket ships and stuff.
Are you? Maybe it's so. There's algorithms behind all this stuff, right? Do you think that maybe it's your algorithms and what you're viewing that
Ryan.
might be driving
Sick bastard.
the porn bots and stuff? Like it has nothing to do with X. It's what you're looking at.
No, I'm just looking at like there'll be a popular tweet and in the replies it's just shameless, obvious spam porn. I'm like, ugh, like it's a tweet about hockey coursey. I don't need that as the first reply, Elon. Shut these people down.
I think the power play has been awful. Hey,
First reply.
Chantel liked your tweet.
Chantel, I'm 20 minutes away. Why isn't she wearing pants? Thanks, Elon.
So it's Elon's fault. He should monitor all the tweets.
I'm just saying it's gotten worse since he took over. That's all. Maybe it was inevitable. I don't know. We don't have an alternate universe where he doesn't own it now. What's that?
Those guys are truly fascinating. Like Zuck and Elon.
Oh, man.
It's not in the same realm as we live.
I know.
It's so
Elon
different.
is talking about living on Mars.
Right?
Yeah. We can't decide. Look at this is my life. This is my life. Elon is going to Mars.
At least get your shameless plug right. Come on.
Look at those.
Yeah, that's our life.
Are you going to call your bunker the Cove?
Yeah.
Yeah, the playing checkers and playing chess. We don't.
No.
Yeah. Oh well, ignorance is bliss, right?
That's
works for me, Dean.
You'd have a hard time when you're a genius, when you're that smart and you look around at all the dumb people,
society,
and the dumb things they do.
Yeah.
Who do you associate with?
Other weirdo geniuses. That's it.
With your kid who has that name XJQ exclamation point asterisk or whatever he named his kid.
Yeah, that's the Wi-Fi right there. That's the Wi-Fi password that he named his kid.
All right, guys.
Good show, guys.
What's up for the rest of the day?
Guess.
Kids, hockey?
Yeah, got both those. Kid hockey. Got to unpack. Yeah. Well, there's some things to do.
That's what it's all about, folks. See, we're just like you. We're just real people.
Regular folks.
We are celebrities. Yeah. But yet we still put our pants on one leg at a time, just like you guys. Have a fine day.
We wear pants. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have pants today. Are you? Yeah. What about you, Pinder pants?
God, no. Jack and I have a strict no pant policy in the studio.
Love it. Tomorrow, Ask Rhett, Flames game day. They'll be in Nashville. We'll be all over it. Have yourself a fine remainder of your day. See you, buddies.
See ya.